Today's presentation is over Greek education. The ancient Greeks are the foundation of Western philosophy and education. The elements of Greek philosophy can be found in any European country or any country that was once ruled or settled by Europeans. Greek philosophy has and continues to play a major role in the history of Western philosophy and American education. Biology, physics, chemistry, and even psychology emerged from philosophy before becoming respectable fields of their own. The term philosophy stems from the Greek word love and wisdom and refers to the pursuit, moral discipline, and knowledge of logic. Philosophy is the group of ideas worked out by someone who has studied ways of thinking about the world. The evolution of philosophy started in the 6th century BC. From this era, three major philosophers emerged. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle laid the groundwork for Western philosophy and education. Socrates, the street philosopher, focus was self-examination. He did this by asking, probing, and embracing questions. Plato was a student of Socrates, believed that in internal truths and values. Aristotle, who was guided by Plato, based his philosophy on the cultivation of rationality. Socrates was born in 470 BC and lived in Athens, Greece until his death in 399 BC. There is little information about Socrates' childhood and youth. Socrates himself did not write things down as it was not the tradition, and he did not become a significant until after his death. Plato, Socrates' prodigy, did write some of the thoughts down, but this took place after his death. Research, due to the state of Socrates, did not come from a wealthy family. Socrates was the son of Sophroniscus, who was a stone cutter, and his mother, Perine, was a midwife. He received a very basic Greek education and learned his father's skill set at a very young age. He continued to work as a mason until he devoted his life to philosophy. There are not many events or people that influenced Socrates. I was able to do research that Socrates believed that philosophy should achieve practical results for the greater well-being of society. These thoughts were based on his life experience. Socrates also believed that the more a person knows, the greater his or her ability reason to make choices will bring happiness. While Socrates was developing his education and philosophies, the Peloponnesian War was taking place. Socrates used this time to go against values and to challenge the minds of people. Many people accepted the way Socrates thinking, and others felt threatened by the new ideas. He is the father and originator of Western philosophy. Socrates is remembered for attempting to create a human system based on happiness. Plato lived in Athens, Greece from 428 BC to 348 BC. Plato's parents were Greek. His father was a descendant of a king, and his mother was a Greek statesman-salon relation. Plato's father died while he was young, but research states that he had two brothers, a half-brother, and a sister as siblings. The major influences in Plato's life was his instructor, Socrates. Plato was very impressed with Socrates' debates, methods, and statements. Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta was an important event that influenced Plato as well, because the war ended, Athens became a democracy. While Plato was developing his education philosophy, Athens and Sparta were at war. The war resulted in the reshaping of the Athenian government and more strict rights of citizens of Athens. With these economic changes, Plato furthered the philosophy and studies that Socrates established. He went on to study geometry, geology, astronomy, and religion. Plato is an important person in education history because he created the academy. The academy was his most remarkable achievement. The academy offered studies in biology, astronomy, mathematics, political theory, and of course philosophy. Plato headed the school until his death, when it was taken over by his nephew. Plato was innovative in his education because the foundation of mathematics that was discovered by Plato is still universal in math today. His moral and political theory, which focus on quality and individuals, helped establish what we know as a democracy. Here is a quote by Plato. Courage is knowing what not to fear. Aristotle was born in 384 BC in Greece, where he spent most of his life. Aristotle grew up in a small town on the northern coast of Greece where his father was a court physician. Information regarding his mother is unknown. When Aristotle was 17 years old, his brother-in-law sent him to Athens to pursue a higher education. During his time in Athens, he would meet Plato. Plato was a huge influence to Aristotle. He studied with him for nearly 2 decades. Aristotle was in Athens during the time of the Peloponnesian War and developing his educational philosophy and in his teachings further what was already established. He took the teachings of Socrates and expanded on them by recognizing the beings of things and their concepts. Both Plato and Socrates were the major influence of Aristotle. He took both of their concepts of philosophy and developed his own. Aristotle is important to educational history because he had his own innovative teaching methods. Aristotle would walk around the schoolyard and teach, and his students would follow. His students became known as the Peripatetics, which means people who travel about. He is also important to education because he was knowledgeable in biology and his contributes to philosophy in which his focus was logic. Aristotle was an amazing man for completing over 200 works within his lifetime. Here is a quote by Aristotle. Happiness depends on ourselves. In conclusion, these 3 men built and referenced each other throughout their era. Socrates was notorious for his overly thinking tactics and saying that he didn't know anything, always wanting to know and learn more. Plato is best known for his philosophy suggesting the world is true to ideas such as goodness, numbers, justice, beauty, virtue, and geometry, which has a reality of its own beyond the physical world. He is also well known for his school, the Academy. He was the head until his passing. Aristotle is best known for his works such as founding his own school teaching Platonic philosophy and also criticizing it. Aristotle rejects Plato's dualism, which is Plato's separating the world of ideas and forms from physical world. These 3 guys are the fathers of Western philosophy and education, which is still mimicked and used today.